A very good afternoon to one and all present here. And on behalf of Medicaps University, I, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Jain, along with my whole team, welcome you in the today's webinar on the topic that is the frequency regulation services in restructured power systems. It is our privilege that we have today with us Dr. Sandeep Bongade sir. And first of all, I am very much thankful to the sir who is in Associate Professor SGSIT Indore for giving the consent and sparing their valuable time for us. Thank you very much, sir. And I have also worked under the guidance of, along with Dr. Sandeep Bongade sir in my tenure at SGSIT Indore. So first of all, it's my privilege to tell a brief introduction of Bongade sir. So Sandeep Bongade sir has received the ME degree in electrical engineering from VJTI Mumbai in 2003 and the PhD degree from IIT Roorkee in 2012. Presently, he is associate professor in the electrical engineering department at Sri GS Institute of Technology and Science, Indore, India. His research interests include smart grid, power system restructuring, power system operations control, energy system distributed systems, renewable energy sources, and low frequency controls. Also, he has published several papers in SCI and Scopus Index Journal. And he is a senior member of IEEE Society as well. So we welcome you, sir, for this webinar. So I am giving the control to you, sir, and you can proceed with the presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjeev Jain, to introduce me. And I am thankful to the organizer of the Medicaps University to deliver lecture on frequency regulation services. So we can start.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Also, there is a sorry to interrupt you. Also, there is a information that we will be taking the queries of the audience after the completion of the webinar, and they can put their queries in the chat box, and we will be taking 2 or 3 questions or queries to be asked from the expert. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. So my topic is frequency regulation services in restructured power system. So this is a conventional structure of vertical integrated electric industry. Here you can see the flow of power or energy from generation end to the transmission distribution, and finally it is given to the customer end, that is the end user consumer. And in this figure you can see a blue arrow is there. It is a unidirectional flow from generation to transmission and distribution network, and finally it is given to the customer. Okay, again the information is two-way, generation and transmission distribution, the two-way communication between the generation part and the transmission and distribution. But money flow is only from customer end to the transmission and distribution part. This is a traditional vertical integrated utility here. Power industry had adopted vertical integrated utility structure which own generation, transmission, distribution system that supply power to the customer or consumer at regulated prices. Now, such configuration you can see in this diagram, and the state electricity board in India were the example of vertical integrated utility. Now they are being restructured. Sorry, it is a restructure. Now, around the world, electric power industry undergoing reforms from the traditional vertical integrated utility into a competitive electricity market. Now, the introduction of competitive electricity market has caused significant changes not only in the generation sector but also in the transmission and distribution sector, and new challenges for the market participants. So what are the market participants? Before discussing about the market participants in electricity market, we firstly discuss what are the main objectives behind the deregulation of power industry. So what are the objectives? The first is not only more focus on electricity prices, means we have to provide a cheapest electricity to the all consumer with standard, maintaining the standard of the electricity, or I can say the non-harmonic electricity should be provided to the customer or consumer. A change in the electricity market structure also there. Therefore, we have to restructure the electrical power industry. Again, a change in the technology used by energy companies, and also a change for new economic activity related with this sector. So these are the main objectives to introduce the competitive in the electricity market. And in the present slide, you can see the characteristics of traditional vertical integrated electric industry. It is a monopoly franchise. Only the local electric utility can produce. In the modern power system, number of control areas and number of power system are interconnected through a transmission line. If some control area having some deficiency in power, then this deficiency should be fulfilled by some neighboring power system or from some neighboring control area, and that particular control area having some surplus power, so that they can transfer the surplus power to the area where the power is required. Okay. Now, another characteristic of this traditional vertical integrated utility is obligation to serve the utility must provide service to all electric consumer in its service territory. Beyond the service territory, it does not exist. This is the main disadvantage of this traditional vertical integrated utility. Now, after the introduction of competitive in electricity market, these are the some motivation why we go for the competitive electricity market. As I have already discussed about these points, first is technological innovation. Day by day, the technology goes on some advanced steps. So the technological innovation improve the efficiency of small units, small generating units for gas turbine, combined cycle, hydro and fuel cell over the large one. Second reason is improvement in materials. We are using some different insulating materials, special lubricants, so that we have to shift the traditional vertical integrated utility into competitive electricity market. And the third point, computerized control system is there in the modern power system. Now, after the introduction of competition in electricity market caused emergence of new entities. What are the new entities? The new entities are generating companies, we call GenCos, transmission companies, Transcos, distribution companies, Discos, system operator, market operator, customers, and retail companies. That is, we call the retail cause. Now, one by one, I discuss about these entities. The first is generating companies. Generating companies produce and sell electricity. Electricity either by submitting the bid as an individual generating unit or a group of generating unit within a single company ownership structure. In competitive electricity market, GenCo submit their bids in the pool along with their capacity to supply the demand. Second is transcos, that is the transmission companies. Now, those entities which own and operate the transmission wires are your transmission companies. The prime responsibility is to transpose the electricity from generating unit to the end user consumer and provide open access by making the transmission wires available to all the entities in the system. This is your transmission company. Then third is distribution companies, or we call the DISCOs. DISCOs are those entities which own and operate the local distribution network in their own area. They buy wholesale electricity either through the spot market or through the direct contracts with the GENCOs and supply to the end user consumer. Okay. Now, the most important entity in electricity market structure is system operator. System operator is an entity with the responsibility of ensuring the reliability and security of the power system. It is an independent entity and does not participate in the electricity market or trading. It does not own generating resources except for some reserve capacity in certain cases. In order to maintain the system security and reliability, the system operator procures various services such as supply of emergency reserves or reactive power from the other entity in the system. And these services we call the ancillary services. Now, as there are several GENCOs and DISCOs in the deregulated structure, with any GENCOs of transaction of power are there. So, in the next slide, this is the typical deregulated market structure. Here, the GENCO is connected to transmission and distribution as usual, as in the traditional vertical integrated utility structure is there. Then from transmission distribution to the customer. Okay. Now, in GENCO's transmission, distribution, and customer, this system operator in the center play a very vital role here. This arrow again shows the flow of energy, flow of money, and flow of information. That is the communication channel between the system operator and transmission distribution, and system operator also communication channel with the GENCOs are there. Okay. Now, based on the trading quantities, competitive market include energy market, transmission market, and ancillary service market. Okay. Now, what is energy market? Here in energy market, the competitive trading of electric energy occurs. The energy market is a centralized mechanism that facilitates energy trading between seller and buyer. Okay, system operator operates the energy market. The system operator accepts the demand and generation bids. Actually, I am repetitively use this word bids. Bid are a price and a quantity of pair. Price in Indian rupees or some dollar or in some euros, and quantity of pair, that is the amount of power supplied, that is in megawatt. Okay, the system operator accepts the demand and generation bids from the market player and determine the market clearing price. Okay, at which the energy is to be brought and sold. Okay, means system operator is the main entity which accepts the bids from GENCOs and also from the customer end also. And this system operator select the price in the system. Then another market is transmission market and ancillary service market. Okay. Now, according to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, US has defined ancillary services. Ancillary services as those necessary to support the transmission of electric power from seller to purchaser, given the obligations of control areas and transmitting utilities within those control area, to maintain reliable operation of interconnected transmission system. This statement recognizes the importance of ancillary services for bulk power reliability and to support the commercial transactions. Okay. Now, ancillary services as defined by the FERC mainly consist of 6 services which make up the basic components needed for open access operation of electric power transmission on the system. And these services include scheduling, system control and dispatch, reactive power and voltage control, frequency regulation, energy imbalance, operating reserve, spinning and supplemental. Now, one of the most important ancillary services as defined by US FERC is frequency regulation. And in today's lecture, I will discuss about this frequency regulation services. Okay. Now, what is frequency regulation? Frequency regulation is the minute-to-minute adaptation of the generator output to meet the imbalance between total supply and demand in the system. Now, this instantaneous response of generating unit is usually achievable through the use of governor droop characteristics, okay, or automatic control signal from the control area based on determining the required change up or down the frequency to the real power output to bring the area control error within bounds, area control error. Okay. Now, in doing so, regulation helps to maintain the interconnection frequency. Maintain the interconnection frequency means the system frequency should deviate or vary about its nominal value. Okay. This frequency regulation also helps to minimize the differences between actual and scheduled power flow. Also help match the generation to load within the control area. Now, this service can be provided by any appropriate equipped generator that is connected to the grid and electrically close enough to the local control area, provided no physical or economical transmission limitation prevents the transport of power. Now, this frequency regulation service can be achievable by automatic generation control. Now, automatic generation control. In any interconnected power system, there are 2 control loops are involved. Any changes in the real power, less sensitive to the bus voltage magnitude, but it is highly sensitive with the change in frequency. Similarly, any changes in the reactive power is less sensitive to the changes in the system frequency, but it is highly affected by the variation in the bus voltage magnitude. Therefore, there are 2 control loops are involved, which control the real and reactive power separately. To control the system frequency or the real power flow between the area, automatic generation control loop is there. And to maintain the bus voltage magnitude within safe limit and to regulate the reactive power through a transmission line, automatic voltage regulator loop is there. Okay. Now, what are the major objectives of automatic generation control? First is to hold system operator at or very close to a specified nominal value. When you look at the output of the grid or the output of the power system, the output of the power system or generating unit is the indication of some error, and this error occur because of the difference between the power demand in a system and the generation. So the difference between generation and the demand gives some error, or we call it is a deviation in the system frequency. If this AGC maintains the system frequency close to a specified nominal value, means it minimizes the error. Okay, this is the first objective of AGC. Second is to to maintain the correct value of interchange power between the control area. Means if there is some deficiency in a one control area and other control area has some surplus power, so the power is flow from control area where the power is surplus and it is given to the control area where there is a deficiency in the power. So when this condition arises, the AGC maintain the power flow from one control area to another so that the system frequency should not deviate. Okay. Another is to maintain the each unit generation at most economic value. So these are the major objectives of automatic generation control. Another term you have frequently also seen in some literature and books, LFC, that is we call the load frequency control. Load frequency control is being a part of AGC. It is a part of automatic generation control. Okay. Now, conventional AGC scheme, automatic generation control scheme, cannot be implemented directly in a deregulated power system environment. Why? What are the reasons? We cannot directly implement the conventional AGC scheme into a deregulated electricity market structure. So first reason is different types of transactions are involved. In the next slide, we will discuss about these commercial transactions. What are the commercial transactions are there in restructured power system? Because of the different types of transaction involved in restructured power system, the conventional AGC cannot be implemented directly. Second reason is GENCO, that is the generating company, may or may not participate in the market. Because of the dynamic participation of GENCOs, the participation factors of GENCO may dynamically changes. And the last is because of the dynamic participation of GENCO, we have the revised definition of area control. Because of this reason, we cannot implement the conventional automatic generation control directly into the restructured power system, or we call the competitive electricity market. Now, these are the different commercial transactions are there involved in deregulated electricity market. Poolco based transactions, bilateral transactions, and combination of these two transactions, that is the Poolco based as well as bilateral transaction. These transactions are involved in restructured power system or in a competitive electricity market structure. So the first is Poolco based transaction. Poolco based transaction. If frequency is lower than the nominal value, you know the nominal frequency value in India is 50 Hertz. So if the frequency is lower than the nominal value, means below the 50 Hertz, then up regulation bids are activated by the system operator in steps, and the highest activated bid becomes the regulation price, and this regulation price uniformly paid to all the providers of upward regulation service. In the second condition, if the frequency is higher than the nominal value, means above the 50 Hertz, then under this condition, down regulation is activated by the system operator in steps, and lowest activated bid price becomes the uniform price to be paid by all the providers of the down regulation price. Okay. Now, this graph shows the regulation bids available to the system operator. Here on the right hand side, you can see that we have the regulation price up because the system frequency is we have the frequency is lower than the nominal value. So we up the regulation price. In the left hand side, we have the regulation price down because the system frequency is higher than the nominal value. Okay, so this is the regulation bids available to the system operator, and these are the some mathematical equation for upregulation. We minimize the cost of the regulating power, and we have some set of constraints. Equality and inequality constraints are there, and participation factor of GENCOs. This is again for the down regulation. Now come to the bilateral transaction. Okay. Now bilateral transaction here. Bilateral transaction. Now here a DISCO or the distribution company in any of the area and GENCO, generation company, in the same area. Please take attention here. DISCO in any of the area and GENCO in the same or in a different area negotiate bilateral contracts with each other. Okay. GENCOs change their power to follow the predicted load. We have some scheduled power, and according to this scheduled load, GENCO supply the power. Now DISCO is responsible to monitor its load demand, ensure that the load following requirement is met according to the contractual agreement. Okay. Now further I explain this bilateral transaction. DISCO in any of the area and GENCO in the same or different area negotiate bilateral contracts with each other. Now these players of the electricity market are responsible for having communication path to exchange contract data as well as the measurements to perform the load following function. In such contract, GENCO changes its power to follow the predicted load as long as it does not exceed the contracted value. Okay. In restructured environment, GENCOs sell power to various DISCOs at competitive prices. DISCO may or may not contract with the GENCO in their own area. Okay. Now this makes various combination of GENCOs, DISCOs. Okay. Contract possible in practice. The concept of DISCO participation matrix. Now this is a DISCO participation matrix has been used to visualize the contract easier. Now this DPM is a matrix with the number of rows. This number of rows equal to the number of GENCOs. Okay. And the number of columns equal to the number of DISCOs participated in the system. Okay. This CPF11, CPF12, this is, I have taken one example here. Area 1 and area 2 are interconnected, and how this CPF are calculated here. This CPF is the contract participation factor. Contract participation factor. Here this subscript shows the number of GENCO and DISCO. So if I generalize this CPF IJ, so this contract participation factor between GENCO I and DISCO J, each entry in this matrix can be thought as a fraction. Remember, it is a fraction of total demand or total load contracted by jth DISCO towards the ith DISCO. Okay, and it is called contract participation factor. Now, because of the dynamically participation of GENCO, we have the revised definition of this area controller. As you know, this PI, P tie line, it is equal to PIJ. Means we have the ith GENCO and some jth DISCO. So the power flow between the GENCO and DISCO should be such that the load demand is fulfillment by the area. Means the system frequency should be settled at the nominal value. Therefore, this Pij should be equal to 0 in that condition. Okay. This is a revised definition of control area control error. Now, in restructured power system, we can also use the energy storage system. As you know that we have a variety of storage technology in the market, and you're already aware about these energy technologies, which are I can name some compressed air energy storage, battery energy storage systems, pumped storage hydroelectric systems, and SMES, superconducting magnetic energy storage system. Okay, there are some of the disadvantages of pumped hydroelectric storage system are the main disadvantage of pumped storage is of large unit size. Topography and environmental limitations are there. Some disadvantage associated with battery energy storage system is which include the limited limit cycle. Okay, voltage and current limitations. Now, one of the major advantage associated with this SMES system, energy unit system, is it can be used to inject. It can be used to inject both real and reactive power into the grid simultaneously. Okay. Now, this SMES unit has numerous advantages in electric power system applications. With the use of SMES unit, frequency deviation in each area are effectively suppressed. However, it may not be economically feasible. Just concentrate on this statement. It may not be economically feasible to use SMES unit in each area of interconnected power system. Here we are talking about the restructured power system or competitive electricity market, means we have number of control areas are interconnected through a transmission line. So in each area we cannot use the SMES unit because of its cost. Okay. Now, basically this SMES unit, as you see here, consists of step down transformer. Then we have a power conversion system, that is 12 pulse bridge is there. And finally, we have superconducting inductor coil. Okay. So there is a power conversion between the superconducting inductor coil and the step down transformer through this power conversion system. Okay. Now, in the next slide, we have the equation DC voltage which appear across this coil. So during the positive half cycle across the coil, the superconducting coil is charged. This on the right hand side, we have a superconducting inductor coil. So during the positive half cycle, it charges and conducts current with no losses as the coil is maintained at a very low temperature. Okay, this coil is maintained at a very low temperature, so there is no losses here. When the superconducting coil is charged, it stores energy in the magnetic field. So when there is a load demand in a system, in a control area, the stored energy is released by this inductor coil through the power conversion system to the grid. Now, during the sudden release of load, the coil immediately gets charged to full value. Some portion excess energy in the system is absorbed by the coil, and as the system returns to its steady state, the absorbed energy in the coil is released. Means in the first half cycle, it worked as a load. In the second half cycle, it worked as a source. Okay. And this is the mathematical model of SEMS control unit. So charging and discharging, again, I come to this equation here. Charging and discharging of inductor coil is controlled by this firing angle, alpha. This alpha is less than 90 degrees. So it is in charging mode. If alpha is greater than 90 degrees, this is in a discharging mode. Okay. Now, this is a mathematical model of SEMS unit. And we also introduced this generator rate constraint. Okay. This generator, what is the objective to introduce this generator rate constraints? This is a simple non-linearity introduced in a system such that the developed system should be resemblance to some practical system. Okay. So we introduce this non-linearity. This is a saturation non-linearity here. In practical steam turbine system, due to thermodynamic and mechanical constraints, there is a limit to the rate at which its output power, that is, can be changed. This limit is referred to as a generator rate constraint. Okay, this would influence the dynamic response of the system and lead to a larger overshoot and longer settling time. Okay, that's why I am calling it is a non-linearity, introduction of this non-linearity. Come to the next slide. This is the overall automatic generation control in restructured power system. In this, you can see we have a governor turbine model here. And after this generator turbine, governor turbine model, we introduce this GRC. Means all the governor turbine are along with the practical aspect, we introduce the non-linearity. So we have number of generating units are there, governor turbine are there, and we fix all the participation like PF1, PF2, PF3, PF up to PN. So these participation factors are fixed, and this participation can be calculated based on the bids submitted by the GENCOs. Okay, तो हम सबसे पहले उसी बिड को एक्टिवेट करेंगे जिसकी की प्राइस सबसे लीस्ट होगी. And in this general AGC block diagram for area I, you can see we introduce one SMES unit. Here this SMES unit input is area control error. This area control error we are obtained after this power system. That is the final output. This final output again given to the SMES unit, and this is also used as a feedback to the controller. Okay. So here I am using the controller ANN controller here. Okay. Come to the next slide. Now in the present case, I am talking about the PID controller. As you aware, this PID controller, the transfer function is given by Kp plus Ki upon S plus Kd multiplied with S. Okay. Now the optimal value of Kp, Ki and Kd in the present case are determined using the genetic algorithm. I have not briefly discussed genetic algorithm in the present slide. I am discussing about the ANN, the proposed artificial neural network based controller here. So before going to the artificial neural network based controller, some difficulties are with the conventional integral or conventional PID controller. What they are? The first difficulty arises is in case of any change in the system operating condition, new gain values have to be computed. Okay. So in a regular way, you have to calculate gain value of Pi, Kp, Ki, Kd whenever there is a changes in the system operating condition. So it is a time consuming part. Another difficulty with the conventional PID controller is in multi-area. In multi-area, we are talking about the restructured power system, or I can say the competitive electricity market, where number of GENCOs and DISCOs are participated in the electricity market. So in such cases, tuning of PID controller separately for each area is required. So because of these reasons, conventional integral or PID controller are replaced by artificial neural network. Now this is a structure of neuron. Weighted sum and activated functions are given, and input in the this is a NN based scheme. In neural network based controller, the area control error, which is finally obtained after the power system, here we are using the area control error and reference input. Reference input as two inputs for this neural network based controller. Okay. And here 4 hidden layers are used in the present case. And these are the steps followed to train the network. Now here each area is equipped by the neural controller, and the best value of NN controller is obtained by training the NN at different load parameter through the backpropagation algorithm. And two inputs are used here, area control error and reference load variation. and output, we have the desired output. This is the signal settled at a point according to the net DISCO demand to the area. Again, we have used the tan sigmoid in the hidden layer, and training data is collected from Simulink block diagram by variation of DISCO demand and participation factor, because GENCO are participated in the system dynamically. Therefore, we are obtained this training data from the Simulink block diagram. And best values are obtained by hit and trial method, and these values of weights can be obtained using the some optimization method, and these are the steps we have followed. Now we have a trained artificial neural network with the AGC scheme in restructured power system. Now, to implement this developed AGC scheme in restructured system, we are using old UP based 75 Indian power system. This 75 bus Indian power system shows the old UP state here. This is the single line diagram here. And according to the geographical location, we divide this 75 bus power system into 4 control areas. You can see that in area 1, we have 3 GENCOs are there. In area 2, we have 5 GENCOs. Area 3, we have 2 GENCOs are there. And in area 4, again, we have 5 GENCOs are there. Okay, so this is a 75 bus system are there, which consists of 10 generating buses are there, GENCOs. So according to the geographical location, this 75 Indian power system is divided into 4 control area. And area 1, area rating is 460 megawatt. And what are the market participants? 3 GENCOs are there. 3 generating companies are the market participants in area 1. Remember that no DISCO is participated in the area 1. In area 2, area rating is 994 megawatt and 5 generating companies are participated, and 1 DISCO is there which curtail its consumption. Okay. Area 3, 2 GENCOs are there, and area 4, we have the 5 GENCOs are there, and area rating is 4,470 megawatt in area 4. So basically this 75 bus Indian power system is divided into 4 control areas. Okay. This is a single diagram of 75 bus Indian power system. Now, suppose GENCO bids in area 1. These 3 GENCOs are submitted bid and with their capacity, prices with their capacity. So suppose GENCO 1 quoted submit the bid, it supply 4.9 rupees per kilowatt hour, and the capacity of this generating unit 1 is 15 megawatt. Okay, GENCO 2 submit the price 4.75 rupees for the with the full capacity of 30 megawatt. Similarly, GENCO 3 submit the price 5.1 rupees with capacity 25 megawatt. Okay, when you look at the GENCO bids submitted in area 1, out of these 3 GENCOs, GENCO number 2 submit the least price and having the largest capacity. So whenever there is a load demand or power demand in area 1 occur, we system operator first of all activate the GENCO 2 because it is having largest capacity with least price. Then second, the system operator activate the bid submitted by GENCO 1, and finally the system operator activate the bid submitted by Genco 3. In this way, the system operator activates the regulating price step by step. The same mechanism is done by system operator in Genco bid submitted in area 2, area 3, and in area 4. Okay. Now, how this power balance for different area is achieved? In the present slide, you can see the power balance achieved by the different area. Suppose in area 1, the total demand is 50 megawatt. In area 1 of 75 bus power system, the total demand, we assume that it is a 50 megawatt, and the area rating of area 1 is 460 megawatt. Area rating is 460 megawatt, and these are the bids submitted in area 1. And demand is 50 megawatt. So according to the area rating and the bids submitted by Genco 1, we can convert this megawatt into per unit. So in area 1, Genco 1, which is submitted bids, so it is increases its output by 10 megawatt. Okay. Genco 2 increases its output by 20 megawatt and Genco 3 by 20 megawatt in order to meet the 50 megawatt increase in the load demand. And remember that there is no DISCO participated here in area 1. So DISCO is not selected for load curtailment in area 1. Now come to the area 2. In this area 2, Genco bids are submitted. Genco 4 with price 5 rupees per kilowatt hour and the capacity is 25 megawatt. Similarly, Genco 5 submit price 5.4 rupees and capacity is 40 megawatt. If you look at the Genco bids submitted in area 2, out of these Gencos, the least price is submitted by Genco 6. Okay, it is only, Genco 6, this is Genco 8. And the least price submitted by Genco 8 is 4.7 rupees. And its capacity is 25 megawatt. Whereas the highest price is submitted by Genco 7, that is the 6 rupees, and the capacity is 25. Okay. So in this case, the system operator activates the Genco 8 first. Then accordingly, they activate the other Genco prices. So suppose the load demand in area 2, again we have the 50 megawatt demand. So Genco 4 increases its output by 14 megawatt, Genco by 9 megawatt, Genco 6 by 4 megawatt, Genco 7 by 9 megawatt, and Genco 8 by 9 megawatt. These are the power increases by the Gencos. Power increases by the Gencos. Only one DISCO 1 is participated in area 2. Now this DISCO, or we call the customer here, consumer. This consumer can curtail, decreases their consumption. DISCO curtail its load by 5 megawatt. Means consumer can reduce its consumption by megawatt in order to meet the 50 megawatt increase in the load demand. In this way, in area 2, the 50 megawatt load demand is fulfillment by increases the power by Genco and curtail the load by the DISCO. Similarly, in area 3, 2 generators are participated, and again we have the 50 megawatt load demand is there. Now come to the area 4, where we have 5 generators are there, and the area rating of area 4 is 4,470 megawatt. Area rating is 4470 megawatt. According to the area rating, we can convert the megawatt into per unit. So in area 4, all the 5 GENCOs are participated. Okay, and no DISCO is participated. So there is no load curtailment. But the load demand in area 4 is 100 megawatt. So in this way, the 5 GENCOs are participating. The GENCO 11 increases its output by 10 megawatt, GENCO 12 by 30, GENCO 13 by 20 megawatt, and GENCO 14 by 10 megawatt. And finally, GENCO 15 increases its output by 30 megawatt. Okay. So according to their capacity and prices, they activate their, they increases their output. Okay. So we have successfully implemented the AGC scheme in the restructured power system. Okay. Now, finally, we have this frequency deviation. In area 2, the frequency deviation for PULCO-based transaction. In the present case, we are not consider the bilateral transaction. We consider only the PULCO-based transaction. Means that power demand is fulfillment by its own GENCO and DISCOs. It is not interchange by supplying the surplus power from others control area. Okay, this is there is no bilateral transaction. We consider only the PULCO-based transaction. So by applying this bids and implement the proposed ANN controller, the system frequency finally settled down here. And this ANN based controller, you can see compared with the genetic algorithm based PID controller. From this frequency deviation output, on the y-axis we have frequency deviation in hertz, and this is a time scale. We run this Simulink model for 100 seconds. So you can see after the first undershoot by the ANN controller, which is shown by red curve, the first undershoot is approximately below the minus 0.15, and then finally it is settled before 20 seconds. But we compare this ANN controller with the genetic algorithm based controller, we can see that in the blue curve, the response is settled after 30 seconds. Okay, so this is the comparative study between the ANN controller and genetic algorithm based PID controller in area 2. Okay. In the second slide, we show the GENCO participation here. All the genetic algorithm, all the GENCOs participated in the area are settled according to their participation factor. Whether we are using the genetic algorithm based controller or ANN controller, you can see this. Okay, this is the generation changes. Similarly, the generation changes for PULCO based transaction in area 4. Again, in area 4, we have 5 generators are there. So these are the settled here according to their participation factor. And this is the diagram for the DISCOs which curtail its demand. Here you can see that minus 5 megawatt, which is settled down here with genetic algorithm as well as with the ANN control. And this is the comparative result, because there is no flow of power between the area, because we are consider only the PULCO based transaction. So there is no power flow between the area. Therefore, the tie line power deviation, you can see in this diagram, area 2 and area 4. In area 2, which is connected between the area 4, which is connected between the area, there is no power flow. Therefore, the tie line power deviation, which is this is indicated by red color with ANN controller, and the same tie line power deviation which is indicated by blue color using the genetic algorithm based PID controller. Both the curve are settled at zero value because there is no power exchange between the control area. Similarly, in area 4, there is no power exchange between the control area. Again, the Thailand power derivation is settled at zero value. Okay. So finally, we have a general purpose ANN controller for multi-area IGCs suitable for deregulated electricity market has been compared with the genetic algorithm based PID controller. And here we are considered only the Pulco based transaction. So from the system frequency response, I can say it is a faster and less undershoot with the ANN as compared to the genetic algorithm based controller. And further, ANN controller response is further improved by placing the small rated energy storage device like superconducting energy storage system. Now here, in this present case, the cost is incurred by earlier proposed system by having SMES unit located only in 2 areas out of 4 regulated multi-area frequency. Means in the present case, we are placing only 2 SMS unit in area 2 and area 4. Okay, we are not placing SMS unit in all the area. We are placing only in area 2 where we have 5 GENCOs and area 4 where we have 5 GENCOs in area 4. Okay, so I wind up this lecture here. I hope you will be benefited by listening this my lecture here. Okay, thank you. If you have any query, we can discuss here.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for this wonderful lecture. For 2 queries from the audience. The first one is, what does this frequency regulation services actually mean?
Frequency regulation service means.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Please.
We have to maintain the system frequency within the nominal value. Basically, system variation in the system frequency or deviation in the system frequency, I can say this variation shows the power mismatch between the generated power and the load demand in a system. You have to minimize this difference. And when the system, there is no deviation in the system frequency, this shows there is a balance between the generated power and the load demand in a system. And this is achievable through the use of this frequency regulation service, which is one of the ancillary services defined by US FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Okay.
Okay, sir. And the second query, which is the last one, I think. How is the training done in the ANN based controller?
No, I'm not getting. What do you say?
How is the training done in ANN based controller, artificial neural network based controller?
Okay. Basically, we have performed, we trained the data here. Training data is collected from the Simulink model. Okay. And the network is trained by Beck algorithm.
Okay, sir. Okay. So I would like to inform you that we are with us Dr. LD Arya sir also.
Yes.
So we also welcome Professor Dr. our teacher LD Arya sir in this web. So I am going to unmute sir. If sir want to tell something.
Sir, Arya sir.
Sir, please, if you want to tell something. Arya sir.
Please comment, sir.
I think maybe he's not able to listen us. So okay, so here I am again here for the vote of thanks. So
Hello.
again myself, Dr. Yes sir, please.
हाँ आ गया अनम्यूट हो गया मैं.
जी sir.
So
Sir.
I think I listened a very wonderful lecture from Professor, my friend, my colleague Bongade, and I think there might have a lot of things has in fact incorporated in this lecture, from restructuring of the power system to the controller and then ANN and then genetic, and I think a student will learn these all concepts in various classes or various courses. They may be optional here and there. For example, learning ANN means it is a different thing. Learning genetic or soft computing technique is altogether a different subject. But I think he nicely summarized the things in one nutshell, and it involves a lot of energy storage devices. I think that is a separate subject, and separate expert lecture may be taken on that, so there is no problem. Even for that matter, simulation also can be incorporated in a different lecture. And probably the student must be aware of that what is the necessity of what is the basic necessity of frequency regulation, why frequency regulation takes place in a power system. That in fact a student should understand at this level why frequency regulation, why frequency increases or decreases because of the load variation. It is basically load variation which causes frequency regulation. Imbalance in our body takes place because of fever. So similarly, frequency will increase similarly because of the mismatch of real power generation and real power demand. Because real power generation cannot be instantaneously controlled, and similarly, if a load change takes place at any of the buses, for example, load increases, but that load increase cannot be suddenly made from generator side, whatever type of generator it may be, because generation rate constant, as nicely told by Professor Bongade, that it will take certain time. So by that time, from where that power comes? That comes from the kinetic energy stored in the system.
Yes, sir.
Kinetic energy in the rotating part of the system. So as you are tapping the power, if the load increase takes place, means you are tapping the power. From where that power is coming, you are not increase the generation from that generation side. So that will be tapped from the kinetic energy of the rotating part of the system. So certainly, naturally, if you are tapping the energy from the stored rotating part of the system, the speed of the rotor will decrease, means the frequency will decrease. And reverse will take place when suddenly load decrease takes place on the system. That's why this frequency regulation takes place. And in fact, that are controlled by various means and very nicely controlled, in fact, in restructured power system. So it is just like it is correlated with increase and decrease of the load on the system. Load increases, the frequency decreases. And if load decreases, frequency increases. Because suddenly cannot be met, sudden increase in the demand cannot be made from the generation side, sudden increase. Similarly, if the load decreases, you cannot decrease the generation. So naturally, the frequency will increase since the speed of the rotor will increase. So frequency will increase and frequency will decrease. So this is the kinetic energy which is extracted to maintain the frequency, and that in fact maintains the frequency. So that is the reason, in fact, the fundamental of frequency regulation in the power system. Thank you, Dr. Sandeep.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I just explained them. In fact, even बच्चों को
Yes.
पता नहीं होगा these basic concepts. है ना?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
So
Thank you, Sanjeev, for giving me the opportunity.
we are very much thankful to you. Ares, you are giving us the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
So we are very thankful to you, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
So for your kind and wisdom words, we are thankful to you, sir. Arya, sir. Sir, Sandeep sir, can we take one or two more questions? Or should we wind it up if we are running out of time? Hello, Sandeep sir?
Okay, we can close. Am I audible?
Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
We can close. So yeah. So right now we are running out of time. So we are unable to take these questions, and we can discuss the questions in our next webinar. So I'm here to deliver the vote of thanks again. So I would like to pay my heartfelt thanks to Professor Dr. Sandeep Bongade sir for his in-depth webinar on the topic, that is frequency regulation services in restructured power system. And the webinar will really be beneficial for the participants as it has provided the deep insight of the topic. I do hope that the participants will definitely explore the promising aspect in this field and follow the pathway shown in the lecture. So I once again would like to thank our speaker for enlightening us with their valuable knowledge. I am highly thankful to our Honorable VC Sir, Professor Dr. Patnaik Sir, and Pro VC Sir, Professor Dr. Panda Sir, and our Dean Sir, Jain Sir, for their valuable guidance and motivation for this successful event. And I'm also thankful to the Registrar Sir, Jain Sir, and his team, Surkant Soni Sir, Gajen Sir, and Pinky Madam, for their valuable support to make it happen. Last but not the least, I would like to pay my sincere thanks to the senior faculties and professors of other colleges and Kalpesh Kela Sir, Shivasta Madam, and other professors and my dear students. And also my dear faculties from our very own electrical department and our very own HOD Sir, Dr. Rajesh Arya Sir, and all the audiences without whom we cannot think of such a successful event. So lastly, thank you very much. Thank you all. So
Thank you.
thank you, sir. And there is a link shared in the chat box. If someone has not filled the registration form through this link, then he or she can fill this link to fill the form through this link to get the certificate. So the link is there for 2 or 3 minutes more in the chat box. So one can fill the link to get the certificate. So I am closing this session for the webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.